In this video, I am going to go over some of the most critical, basic, most often misunderstood principles about search engine optimization and specifically working with Google. Being a dentist, you understand that there can be misinformation about a subject, a topic, and in the subject of digital marketing, in Google, and search engine optimization, there is a lot of misinformation out there. I would venture to guess that 90% of the information that's spread online about these subjects is questionable, if not completely false or misleading. So the purpose of this video is to give you some basic bullet points to think with, and I'm going to explain them a little bit so they're easy to understand. The first important thing to understand is what a search engine is. The search engine is not the internet. The internet is all the computers, and in a nutshell, it's all the computers connected to each other throughout the world. That's the very, very basic explanation of what the internet is. And these computers are connected they have a way of talking to each other. Okay, so all the things that we see online, anything that you type in a website or you pull up a website page or whatever it is, you go on Facebook, all of those are connected through computers that know how to talk to each other throughout the world. That's as far as I'm going to go on the explanation of that. But the purpose of my explanation of that is to understand the difference between a search engine like Google. Google has what's called an index, just like a book. At the back end of a book has an index. The index gives you some insight to what's inside the book. So in this analogy, again, you could think of Google as a giant book, and within the book there are pages. And if we think about it that way, it helps us understand the differences between the different search engine companies. For example, if you remember back in the late 90s, there was a search engine called Yahoo, which still exists in a way. There's also Google, which is a really well-known search engine. There's Bing, and there's others. Each of these have their own independent way of displaying website pages when somebody searches for them. And each of these search engines has rules that must be adhered to and followed in order to give the best possible results. And when I say best possible results, what I'm referring to is if somebody is looking for trees for their house, for example, or in the case of a dental practice, let's say they're looking for implants or dentures or something of that nature. The general idea is this: if you're a dental practice in the town of Troy, for example, you and people in Troy are looking for, an office that provides these types of services, you ideally want to be able to be found easily. That's the ultimate goal. Now, I'm not talking about paid advertising here. I'm not talking about anything else except just the natural way your website appears in Google particularly. And some pointers I'm going to give you. So some of the information that is out there is that when you're writing your copywriting for your website, you want to include all types of keywords and all the keywords that people are going to be looking for. What I have in front of me right here are basic principles that are provided by Google in their developer guidelines. And one of the first bullet points is make pages primarily for users, not for search engines. So if you've ever had this idea that you need all these keywords, it has to be all this specialized, written in this very specialized way, very often that can work against you if that's done incorrectly or if too much emphasis is put on the search engine. The second point is deceiving users. We've all experienced this dating back to the early days of having access to the internet, of seeing something, an ad or something, and clicking on it and being taken somewhere and saying, this isn't what I wanted. Oh, I can't believe this. I was tricked, or whatever. Also known as clickbait and other things like that. That leads to the next bullet point, which is avoid tricks, intended to improve search engine rankings. And then Google goes on to say, if you feel comfortable explaining it to a Google employee or someone else, basically what you did in order to get those results. Now, there's a history on this, because if you're a business that's been successful in Google, and at one time maybe you were doing something that it was a way to manipulate the search engine per se. It was a workaround to get more website traffic. This wasn't an uncommon thing for some time. However, Google is known for improving the quality of its search engine, and these practices become penalized. So if you've ever had a website, and it was doing well, and then all of a sudden the next day it was gone, or you couldn't find it, or it was listed way lower, or something happened, very often the case is that Google updated the search engine algorithm, their program that generates search results and makes decisions about that, and the ranking was decreased because it violated some policy, or it did something that was not optimum for the user, for the person searching for services. And the last bullet point they give here, is think about what makes your website unique, valuable, or engaging. Make your website stand out from others in your field. We primarily work with dental practice owners, and we know the key elements that help a dental practice website be successful. In other words, getting public to interact with it and use it so that they're more inclined to reach out to you. Now, on the other side of that, every dental practice is different. And every location and town and city is different. So all of that needs to be taken into consideration when we talk about a website or building your online representation, how you represent yourself online. The main point of this video was just to understand that Google has very specific sets of rules and recommendations that are laid out for developers and SEOs like myself that we must abide by and follow in order to maximize the best results for our clients. And again, just like any other industry out there, misinformation can be spread. Things can be said that aren't true, can be misleading, cause confusion, and lead to all sorts of other problems down the road. My basic rule of thumb is the old saying, and I think my dad once said to me, generally speaking, you're not going to get anything that's worth a lot of money for free unless someone is being very generous and very courteous, like a donation. And obviously that really makes a lot of sense because it doesn't matter what industry I'm in. If I want to buy something that has value or I want something that's a quality product, generally speaking, I'm going to have to exchange for that. Whether it be money or barter or whatever, but there has to be some equal value of exchange. So keep that in mind if you're out shopping, if you're getting bids and estimates, but look at all the details. Never just look at the price too. Look at all the details of what the actual deliverables are and what service you're requesting and what you're really trying to achieve to make sure that service fits the mold. So, all right, Jason here with Golden Dental Marketing. Again, these are Google basic principles for following guidelines for your website in Google's search engine. And I'm going to be creating a long series of these videos going over, and there's many hundreds of different pointers like this that Google provides that I'm going to be digging into for our dental practice clients. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Wishing you a great day.